Thank you. Chairman Strong and I are here today to talk about our trip to Washington, D.C., what we did over the past 3 or 4 days in Washington, D.C., and consequently followed up with a meeting with where we were able to listen to the Chairman of the Armed Services, Buck McCowan, and also a congressman from California. But 4 things are going to affect our community over the next month. Number 1, sequestration, which takes place on March 1st. Number 2, the continuing resolution that our government has been operating under expires on March 27th. Number 3, there'll be a debt limit vote, which will happen right after that. And number 4, the fiscal 14 budget has not yet been presented to Congress and will come forward in the next couple months. That's going to be that those four factors affect our community because they affect our federal government, and our federal government is part of our community. We've been working on diversification for probably ever since the Saturn project got finished, and so we as a community have been working on diversification, and we as a community will work well through this process. But when one job is lost, that's an important job to that person, and that's an important job to this community. So we are working also to make sure that our government spending, our government contracting works well as we move forward. We met with 8 congressional delegations, and in those meetings with the congressional delegations, our whole emphasis was that we need a budget. We have found that our economy is being stymied by subcontractors who are right now holding cash close to vest, not doing hiring, not doing future planning, and they're doing that because they don't know what to expect out of the federal government. We expressed to each of these delegations that the best thing that we could see, the best solution to all this is to give us a budget, good, bad, or indifferent, however that budget is, give us this budget. Our commands will adapt, our companies will adapt, and we'll be able to move forward. It was good 2 days worth of meetings in D.C. We were able to put our points across. The final solution, though, rests with Congress, and it rests with the House, with the Senate, and with the administration. And the things that we would ask out of this is there's no need to point fingers. There's no need to say whose fault this is, whose fault it isn't. The whole process that we need to come down to is give us a budget so our community can move forward. We just met with our chamber, and the chamber will be putting out some talking points later in this week talking about this process and what we're facing as a community, what the best steps are forward for the community, and how we as a community can come together to help affect something that will affect all of us. You know, when you get down to the bottom line, we are primarily Department of Defense community. We're a NASA community. We have all the other alphabet letters agency, as Chairman Strong says, out there at the arsenal, and every one of them are important to us. But their job is to make us a stronger government and to make our government safe. And the bottom line is that we have to have a budget in place to make our country safe. Chairman Strong?
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with everything that you've said. This last week in our visit to Washington, D.C., the one thing that's obvious is Madison County has looked to provide national defense to the United States of America. We have diversified in days past, in years past, and once again, this community is going to be stronger through this process. Everyone understands that the national debt is at a level that has to be adjusted. There are ways to do things, there are ways not to do it, and cutting the U.S. military is not the way to do it. Our dialogue with our senators and congresspersons, not only from the Alabama delegation, but also throughout the United States, I think was successful this last week. We met with Dutch Ruppersberger's office. We also met with Jim Moran's office. I believe it was productive. When you come in and you say you're from Huntsville, Alabama, or Madison County, Alabama, people understand our workforce. They understand we have people that are able to lead. And once again, this community is being called on to lead. We have done more with less. We understand what it takes to do what we do here in Madison County. The big thing is, so that this country can be successful, we need a budget. We need a budget so that we can plan, we can do forecasting for our budgets. And the thing is, we've got the right people. That's the big thing that I can concur to the people of our community. We've got the right people here locally. We've got the right people in Washington dealing with this issue. It is something that we saw together is the lack of communication. You're going to struggle in being able to fix any issue. We together encourage more communication, whether that be with the Speaker of the House, whether that be with 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. To solve this problem, to keep our country strong, we have got to have dialogue. Mayor, it was an honor to be with you. I know that we had others on our delegation that was there. Our local delegation understands what's at stake. Our workers here understand what's at stake. And what we do also understand is we will get through this, just as we have with other issues that have occurred. We want to get the information to the people. That's why we went to Washington over the last 2 weeks. We spent a lot of time there from different perspectives. We want to get the information to the people. And again, we've got the right people here in Madison County leading Redstone Arsenal, and we've got the right people in our delegation to solve this problem. Thank you.
In our trip, we had Kenneth Boswell, who's the mayor of Enterprise. Fort Rucker is located in Enterprise. We had Rod Wolf, who was the former CEO of Quad A, which is the Army Aviation Association of America. And we had ourselves who were up there, and we tried to keep it as a group so that we could have a dialogue with each of the offices. And the dialogue went very, very well. But we are now, one of the issues that came out is they said, you know, we hear you're one of the first delegations to come up and talk to us about sequestration. We've been hearing a lot of other issues, and you can probably imagine the national issues that are hitting them on a day-to-day basis. They said we are not having that many calls about budgets, about sequestration, about continuing resolutions, and about how we fund our government. So that is the call that we have now, is to bring this to the forefront of their attention and make sure that our that Congress, the Senate, the House, and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue comes up with a solution.